History usually feels settled. Dates are fixed, timelines are clean, and the past appears predictable. But scattered across the world are discoveries that don't fit neatly into that story. Not legends, not myths. Physical evidence quietly challenging what we think we know about ancient civilization. And once you begin to notice them, they become very difficult to ignore. In several ancient sites, researchers encountered stone blocks of extraordinary size and precision. Some weigh more than modern construction equipment can easily move. Yet these stones were shaped with astonishing accuracy. Their edges are straight, their surfaces smooth, their joints so tight that even a thin blade cannot slide between them. What makes these stones difficult to explain is not their weight. It is the lack of visible trial and error. There are no signs of primitive methods slowly improving. The technique appears fully developed from the start, as if the builders already knew the final result before the first stone was cut. At first, these discoveries were treated as isolated anomalies. One unusual site does not rewrite history. But as more locations were studied, a disturbing pattern emerged. Structures on different continents share the same proportions, the same cutting techniques, the same structural logic. These cultures were separated by oceans. They had no known contact, no shared language, yet they built as if they were following the same design principles. Coincidence can explain one site, but not a global pattern. What makes this civilization even more difficult to understand is what they did not leave behind. There are no detailed inscriptions, no long historical records, no clear names of rulers or dynasties. Instead, their knowledge appears embedded in the structures themselves, in geometry, in scale, in alignment. These buildings function like silent records, meant to be measured rather than read, which suggests the knowledge was never meant for everyone. Many of these ancient sites are precisely aligned with celestial events, solstices, equinoxes, and long astronomical cycles that take centuries to observe. Achieving this level of accuracy requires patience, planning, and knowledge passed down through generations. Yet according to accepted timelines, this understanding of astronomy should not have existed. When these structures were built, these alignments are not decorative, they are intentional, which suggests the builders were not only watching the sky, they were tracking time itself. When faced with questions like these, history offers familiar answers: coincidence, trial, and error. Simple tools used over long periods of time. According to the official explanation, ancient people achieved remarkable results not through advanced knowledge, but through patience and persistence. They worked harder, not smarter. It is a reassuring conclusion, one that preserves the existing timeline and avoids uncomfortable revisions. But reassurance is not evidence, and repetition does not make an explanation correct, especially when the same explanation must be repeated again and again across the entire world. When researchers attempt to place these structures into the accepted historical timeline, a problem appears. They arrive too early. The level of precision, planning, and organization does not match the era they are assigned to. There is no visible transition, no gradual improvement. Instead of evolving slowly, this knowledge appears suddenly fully formed. In history, such jumps are rare. In engineering, they are almost unheard of. It feels less like evolution, and more like inheritance. Just as puzzling as their appearance is what comes next. These advanced construction methods do not spread or improve further. Instead, they disappear. There is no clear evidence of decline, no long period of decay, no gradual loss of skill. The record simply goes quiet. Civilizations usually leave traces of struggle when they collapse. Here, there is mostly absence. Absence often suggests not destruction, but removal. One explanation attempts to solve this mystery through disaster. A global catastrophe: floods, earthquakes, rapid climate shifts. Events powerful enough to erase cities and scatter populations, events that could reset human history. There is geological evidence that such catastrophes occurred, and they would explain the sudden silence. But catastrophe destroys structures, not knowledge itself. knowledge usually survives, unless someone chooses not to pass it on. Some of the most controversial artifacts are rarely displayed to the public. They are carefully cataloged, stored, and labeled as unresolved, not fake, not disproven, simply inconvenient. They exist in the margins of history, known to specialists but absent from mainstream narratives. Over time, what is not discussed becomes invisible. And invisibility is often more effective than denial. Scientific knowledge depends on evidence, but it also depends on agreement. Extraordinary claims demand extraordinary proof, and that standard exists for good reason. However, when evidence threatens foundational assumptions, acceptance becomes difficult. Not because the data is weak, but because the consequences are large. Rewriting history is not just academic. It affects education, institutions, and long-held beliefs. So caution becomes resistance. And resistance often determines which discoveries move forward and which quietly stop. This civilization may not have advanced in ways we recognize. No metal tools, no engines, no written equations. Yet their structures show mastery of material, force, and environment. They shape stone as if they understood its limits perfectly. Intelligence does not always look like technology. Sometimes it looks like harmony with physics, with nature, with time. Perhaps they did not lack technology. Perhaps they chose a different kind. Across the world, ancient cultures tell surprisingly similar stories: a great flood, a lost golden age, teachers who brought knowledge and then disappeared. These stories are usually dismissed as myth, symbolic, unreliable. But myths often preserve memory when formal records are lost. And shared memories suggest a shared past. The disappearance of this civilization raises two possibilities. Either they were erased or they walked away. Erasure implies force. Abandonment implies foresight. Both suggest intention. And intention suggests that the disappearance was not accidental. Sometimes the most powerful decision is to leave nothing behind. If this civilization understood Earth cycles, climate, catastrophe, astronomy, they may have known that collapse was inevitable. In that case, preserving knowledge openly could have been dangerous. Silence might have been safer than survival. Their structures may not be monuments to power, but vaults of information, vaults designed not to be opened immediately, but when the time was right. History is often simplified to make it teachable. Complex ideas are reduced, unresolved questions are avoided. Not because they are dangerous, but because they are difficult. Teaching uncertainty requires time, nuance, and humility. It challenges the idea that knowledge is finished. So what cannot be easily explained is often left out. And over time, absence becomes acceptance. Despite the silence, discoveries continue. New sites are uncovered. New measurements are taken. Each one quietly reinforces the same pattern. Advanced knowledge appearing earlier than expected. The story is not finished. It is still unfolding beneath our feet. The past may not be buried, only waiting. The real question is not whether this civilization existed. It is why its existence makes us uncomfortable. Because it challenges our sense of progress. Our belief that we stand at the peak of history. It suggests that knowledge can be lost. And that advancement is not permanent, which means our own era may not be as secure as we assume. If questions like these matter to you, consider supporting this channel by subscribing. Not to accept a new version of history, but to keep asking better questions. Because understanding the past is not about certainty, it is about curiosity. And curiosity is often where real discovery begins. History is not always written by those who came first. It is written by those who remain. What we call the past is often incomplete, not because it was insignificant, but because it was forgotten. And somewhere beneath the surface, the truth still waits, not to be revealed all at once, but piece by piece.